Man, my shoulder is just really, really hurting. And like when you get older, and I'll visit my friends at Rothman Orthopaedics, and I'm like, I'm not even 40 yet, but like when you get older, you just do stuff sometimes, and you're just like, man, my shoulder. You're like, oh, why does that hurt? You just wake up in pain for whatever reason. But no, I do have a reason. That demolition. Maybe I'll show you guys some pictures. That demolition I'm doing on my house is because I like working with my hands. I've always been envious of construction workers, or admire construction workers. Probably a better way to put that. Where like they build, like they go to work, they do something, and then it's like, look, there it is. I did that. I did that in that building there. Look at that. There's something about that it just always it fascinated me. And it's like you do a show, and it's like it goes into the air, and then where does it go? I was listening to a podcast recently where Jimmy Kimmel was talking about the same type of thing, about like when he does a show, it just goes into the air in a way. That's why he likes to cook, because when you cook, it's like it's like there, you put it on the plate, somebody eats it, it's great. But man, I'm trying to do it myself, and I am doing it myself, and I'm having a lot of success. Let me say that. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. But I'm telling you right now, because I'm playing hurt today, folks. I'm playing hurt today for the good of the show. Welcome into the Farzy Show. My name is Marc Farzetta. This is the Steven Singer Studios. What's happening to everybody? We got an Eagles football Friday on our hands today. Jeff Skversky from 6ABC, The Action News, as some of my older relatives might refer to it. He'll join the show today. Jeff's a good friend of mine. And also, Jeff has had a friendly relationship with a broadcaster that, for whatever reason, all of Philadelphia seems to hate. I've always really liked this guy, but Jeff has a good relationship with him. I've never met the man, but Jeff has a good relationship with him. We'll talk about that when he comes on today. We'll also talk about whether or not there's any type of feel going into this game for the Eagles and the Chargers. Let's jump into it before we get into the Sixers, before we get into the Flyers and what happened with them last night. Long story short, Sixers won. Yay, beat the Pistons. Flyers lost to the Pittsburgh Penguins with no Sidney Crosby. Anyway, by the skin of their teeth, they lost. It was the littlest margin of ice. If you saw the game in overtime, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, the Penguins won in overtime, and it was by the hair of their chinny chin, if you will. The goal, the puck crossed the goal line, maybe like the width of a piece of paper, and that was enough to get the Penguins the win. We'll get into it a little bit more later. Eagles coming to town. Obviously, they come back to Philadelphia. They come back home, where they haven't won yet this season. And they come home, and you'll see what happens against the LA Chargers, who at some point today I will refer to as the San Diego Chargers, because I simply am an idiot, and that's the way my brain works. But here's what you got. You got the Eagles coming in, riding a high, folks, after that Lions win. And you might say, and I might say, and I quite frankly have said throughout this entire week, oh, it was the Lions. Fine. It was the Lions. No big deal. But if you're a player in this locker room and you're coming home after winning a game like that, you feel pretty good. It's still, bottom line, the best game you have played from start to finish in a game. The best game you have played from start to finish. So for me, the way I look at it, if I'm a player, is not only was it the best we played, it was the best anyone has played against the Detroit Lions, the worst team. And if you're going to beat the worst team, you might as well be the best team that beat them. And that's what the Eagles were on that given Sunday. So you can take a lot of the same things that you did against the Lions. And as we've also said all week, we've alluded to the Chargers run defense being god-awful. I knew they were dead last in yards per game. Dead last in yards per game. I did not know that they were dead last and also yards per carry, which kind of makes sense, but they actually rarely go hand in hand. Sometimes just teams allow one big play. Oh, this is a whole bunch of one big plays throughout the entire week or throughout the entire season. So hopefully the Eagles take advantage of that with some different run schemes. Like, for instance, we saw Jalen Reagor. Not sure whether or not he'll be able to play, obviously, this week. But looking at what's been going on with this Eagles run offense, when you see what he did last week with the jet sweeps, why can't you do that with Quez Watkins? Why can't you do that with some of your other speedy receivers? If you're able to do it with Jalen Reagor, why won't you be able to do it with somebody else? But bottom line is that came out as something that we didn't see yet. That surprised us a little bit. It was nice to have a surprise. What'll be the surprise this week? because Jason Kelce got into it yesterday. We'll hear a little bit from Jason Kelce as the show goes on today. Jason Kelce got into it this week about how you can't do the same thing. Just because this worked then doesn't mean it's going to work now. So when I look at this game, I'm going to look for Nick Sirianni to, again, be creative. I'm going to look for Nick Sirianni to show us something we maybe haven't seen yet. Because when you see those plays all of a sudden get thrown into the playbook, things start to make sense a little bit more. Things it makes you feel a little bit more comfortable about your head coach and play caller, that he can get back to being creative. You can be creative against this Chargers defense. Hopefully they'll do that. I actually have some confidence that they will do that in this game. I don't think this is going to be a game where they all of a sudden just start abandoning or forgetting about the fact that they have running backs at all. The key will be, if the Chargers get out to an early lead, 7-0, 14-0, Nick Sirianni and this Eagles offense has to stick with the run game. They have to keep on running the ball. Unless you get into that second half and you're still down 14 points, then everybody gets it. Then you got to start throwing the football. Everybody understands that. At least you should. If you don't, you throw in the second half. If you're down by 2 touchdowns, you start airing it out. But don't run away from the game plan that you put together. If you saw that run would work going into this game, even if they start putting another guy down in the box, you still got to run the football to help you set up the pass. Basic offense, simple stuff. Football 101. Boston Scott's riding a hot hand right now. Jordan Howard's riding a hot hand right now. Jalen Hurts has been riding a hot hand in the run game all season long. Those 3 guys should be able to get you 50-plus again, just like they did against the Lions last week. So have at it, fellas. Ring the dinner bell. Go eat when it comes to this game against the Chargers. The other thing that I find interesting is that the Chargers' defense is eerily similar to the Eagles' defense in terms of how they defend the pass. The Chargers don't allow big plays. The Eagles, they try not to allow big plays, and for the most part, they've had success in not allowing big plays on the defensive side of the ball. So when you watch this game, I'm going to see how the Chargers sit back similarly to the Eagles on defense and allow quarterbacks to make plays. The thing that scares me about this is that I am also reminded of the game against the Raiders, where you saw the Eagles sit back, allow Derek Carr to complete 90+% of his passes simply because they didn't want to go up and make a play. They wanted to let the play happen. Oh, let's see if he'll make a mistake. He didn't. And Justin Herbert right now isn't playing anything near the Rookie of the Year status that you saw him at last year. He's not playing anything near that guy that was the up-and-comer, the next great young NFL quarterback. Oh, look what Justin Herbert's doing, right? The last 2 games, they have lost. One of them was to the Ravens on the road. Hey, I get it. That's a tough one. 34-6, the Chargers got blown out in that game. Justin Herbert couldn't do anything in that game. And when you also talk about a team being the worst run defense in the league, anybody who's played the Ravens, generally speaking, your run stats aren't going to look that good because they run the football on everybody, except the Broncos, who they tried to just set a record with there. But anyway, that's a whole other story. But looking at this game, you can run the ball on the Chargers. You can try to make Justin Herbert uncomfortable. If you sit back and have a similar game plan than you had against the Raiders, for instance, you're going to get picked apart. Justin Herbert right now is maybe getting ready for a flight, and he's thinking to himself, man, I watched the film on that Raiders game. I really hope the Eagles do exactly to me what they did to Derek Carr. And if they do, oh, boy, I'm going to get my confidence level back up again. You got to make them uncomfortable. You got to be aggressive. You got to get after Justin Herbert. You have to make sure that he can't sit back there and pick you apart the way Derek Carr did. That's what's rattling around in my brain, and I don't want to see that again. If I'm Justin Herbert, I'm rooting for them to do exactly what they did against the Raiders. And in this game against the Lions, they blitzed. You actually saw them be aggressive. If you're Jonathan Gannon, you got to keep doing that. You got to make sure that you're helping out your defensive line, especially if you're not asking your defensive line to get after the quarterback. So let's see that happen. That's what I'm rooting for. Yeah, like I mentioned, the Chargers lost 2 in a row. The one person that I think you're going to see Darius Slay on is Mike Williams. I think that goes without saying. Mike Williams is the guy that they have not been able to get going over the last couple of weeks. If you could get away with taking Mike Williams out of the game for whatever reason, because he's a good wide receiver, him and Justin Herbert have really developed a good chemistry over the last 2 years. So if you have an opportunity right now to take him out, you do that. That's the one guy I'll be focused on. You can talk about some other guys that are offense. Obviously, they got a lot of talented guys, but that's the one guy that, for whatever reason, if you're able to upset that apple cart, everything else falls apart for the Chargers. So I'd like to see that. So I want to see aggression when it comes to the defense. I want to see them not abandon or forget about the run, ignore the run. Obviously, something you need to see. And then finally, I want to make sure that they can exploit the Chargers' run defense when it comes to all that. And, don't be afraid to blitz. Blitz a little bit. This game, for all the things that we yell about as a fan base, this is a game where if you apply it, similar to the Lions, you could win. The Lions were so bad, though, that I think you could have done a couple of different things and still had success. The Chargers, focus on that run. Focus on that run. Be creative, Nick Sirianni, and be ready to roll. And if Justin Herbert ends up getting back on track in this particular game, and they also lost to the Patriots. They lost back-to-back. They lost to the Ravens, and they lost to the Patriots. They lost to the Patriots at home in Los Angeles. So if they do start to get things back on track, one of the things Nick Sirianni has to do is not panic and not think pass, and fall into their hands. They can't do that. They have to stick with what their game plan is going into this game, which I'm sure will have a healthy dose of runs. Nick Sirianni last week called them starters or openers, his first scripted plays. He had 7 scripted plays for the first series of the game, and he said 5 of them were runs. All right. I expect something similar coming up against this Chargers team. So let's see them do that. Give you my prediction at the end of the show. Here's what bothers me a little bit. Again, the Eagles have 2 wins on the season. Not a one of them have been at home. Not a one of them have been at home. Apparently, it's the longest they've gone without a home win in a season in quite some time. Jason Kelce was asked about what would help them get the win going forward at home. Here's Jason Kelce on that.
Well, we've been really, really good at home. Through Doug's career, we were really, really good at home. And I think part of that is if you look at our crowd, the noise they bring, the way our defensive line played under Jim Schwartz was just get off the ball. And when you're playing that way at home and teams are on silent cadence, and it's hard to mask when that snap's coming so you can get an even better jump. So I always felt like with that defensive style, it lended itself even more to playing at home for the defense. But, this year I can't say that there's any rhyme or reason. We were close against San Fran, but for the most part, it's just kind of been the way the games have went. I don't think it has anything to do with home versus away. I still think that home field advantage is unbelievable to Link, and eventually, as long as we keep improving as a football team, we'll start winning there.
Hey, Jason,
I don't want to read too far into it, but I don't think you have to read too far into it. He went defense there. If the defense is aggressive, that gets the crowd into it. I mean, so does offense. I mean, I can't think of anything that gets a crowd into a game more than a touchdown. So you get them going. Yeah, let's get after it a little bit there. Let's get the fans into it a little bit. I know the fans are bringing the noise isn't going to be a problem, especially when they haven't seen a home win so far this season. And the Eagles are coming off a huge win. Now, look, huge win in terms of beating the Lions, not huge win. Huge win in terms of putting up 40-plus points and just playing the most complete football that you've played all season long. Yeah, that's still a good thing, regardless of who it's against, because you didn't shoot yourself in the foot 1,000 times throughout that game. So you played a pretty clean game. And if you're looking to give Nick Sirianni credit for anything, it's the fact that they've cut down on their penalties since the first 4 weeks of the season. So that's a good thing to bask in for a second. But Kelsey's talking about, defensively speaking, getting the crowd into it. I think he knows that this crowd, for whatever reason, yes, touchdowns get everybody into it, but for whatever reason, Philadelphia Eagles fans love tough defense. I think a lot of people get caught up in the passing numbers and how great and how high fly offenses can be in the NFL nowadays because they can do just about any damn thing they want on the football field. But when it comes to defense, this particular team needs to get after it to get the crowd really into it. Make them feel like that Justin Herbert kid, he can't do anything against this defense. For instance, if you had Jared Goff here in Philadelphia getting sacked 5 times, and they get 6 sacks total in the game, the Link is going bonkers for that. Bonkers, losing their minds over an aggressive defense, losing their minds over blitzes. I'll never forget this. Doug Peterson gets hired. they go out and they have a draft party right before the draft. Introduce the new coaching staff. Doug Peterson introduces, it was Dave Spadaro introducing Doug Peterson. Yay, new coach, Doug Peterson used to play here when the Eagles were terrible. And then it was, who they introduced after him? Yeah, it was Jim Schwartz. After that, it was his defensive coordinator. Oh, no, it was Frank Reich. It was the offensive coordinator. Yay, Frank Reich. That guy played for the Bills. Yay, cool. And then it was, our defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz. Everyone lost their mind at the Eagles draft party when Jim Schwartz got introduced. You would have thought Buddy Ryan was walking out there on stage in his prime. Hey, everybody, here we go. We're going to make things happen. It was nuts. This city loves defense. Absolutely loves defense, and I think Jason Kelce gets that. Jason Kelce also, I had my fun with the flower conversation, as a lot of us did. So hopefully this is the last time we're talking about, actually, no, it's not going to be the last time we're talking about flowers, because the flower face is the new dog mask. So here's Jason Kelce this week, talking about the flower breakdown that he had after the Lions win. We played it for you. He goes in there, says, "Roots on 3, baby. Wow, Roots." Right? Everyone's laughing. I thought it was a little tongue-in-cheek. We played it for Hugh Douglas. He thought it was a little tongue-in-cheek as well. This is Jason Kelce this week when he was asked about breaking it down. Here's Jason Kelce on his breakdown.
I don't want to put too much, he asked me to break it down. It wasn't premeditated. Just went up there and Roots felt right, That was the theme of the week. We won the game. But the whole point of this thing is that we just were supposed to keep growing and keep getting better. We're still not where we want to be, still not good enough. So it just felt like the right thing to do.
Roots just felt right, baby. Did I hear that right? Roots just felt right. This is already the wackiest season I can remember in any really recent time. Roots felt right, baby. I can see now, at the end of the year, they clinched like the last wild card spot in the NFC. Roots just felt right, baby. If that's the case, sometimes you can look at somebody and just be like, that guy's an idiot. And really, what's under the surface of that idiot, quote unquote, is a genius. Because there's a lot of madness in what is it? There's a lot of madness and genius. What's saying? A lot of madness and genius. So a lot of times you can be looking at a genius before everyone knows they're a genius and be like, this guy's a nut. This guy's an idiot. What's this guy doing? He's doing everything different. Hey, I'll go ahead and root all day long for Nick Sirianni to be some genius that we don't know about. I made the comparison when it came to the flower speech about Fred Shiro, Flyers back-to-back Stanley Cup champion head coach, who was Freddie the Fog, right? Like, if he's wrote that stuff on the board today, would we be like, that guy's a weirdo? Who the hell brought this guy in? But I also mentioned, win today and walk together forever. And that's true. As everyone knows, those guys are still walking together today, 40-some years later. So, hey, if this guy knows how to tap into his locker room, all the more power in the world to him. If by the end of the year, we're all looking at each other, going, hey, Roots just felt right, then all right. No, more power to him. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, folks, but I know America loves a good breakup. Let's see. Kim and Kanye, they're like broken up and stuff. Kim's with that Pete Davidson fella, apparently, according to the old TMZ and the tabloids and all that fun stuff. Do people still get tabloid? No, okay. Like, I haven't seen Weekly World News at the grocery store in quite some time. But then again, I now shop at Whole Foods, so I don't know. I got to make a trip to an Acme again and see if they have the Bat Boy found in cave, which is a headline from 30 years ago. But anyway, what the hell was I talking about? Where am I? Family Guy brain. So what I'm referencing here is an unfortunate breakup between two people that play for the Philadelphia Eagles, and they've lived together for the last 4 years, and it's sad because they would play Fortnite together. They apparently would have a lot of fun together, playing Fortnite video games, also Fortnite Nerf battles in the house. And that is Dallas Goedert and Avonte Maddox, who I don't even like wishing this into existence. I think it was Bo Wolf of The Athletic, who I got to get on the show, who asked this question that wished it into existence. Those two guys, good buddies, have lived together for I think the last 3 or 4 years. And they're both, I think, coming up on new contracts. And Bo Wolf said to Avonte Maddox, if you and Dallas Goedert both sign new contracts, will you break up? Will you move away from one another? Will you live in other houses? And Avonte Maddox, to his credit, took it all in stride. And he didn't say, how dare you ask me such an inflammatory question? No, he had some fun with it. Avonte Maddox on whether or not he and Dallas Goedert will move away from one another if they sign new deals.
New contracts to stay here. Do you think you'll still live together?
Nah, I don't think we still live together. Maybe. I don't know. Nah, I don't know. So we haven't really talked about it. But, you know, he has, you know, we're starting to get older now. So, you know, times like that, you begin to settle down with your loved ones and things like that. So, you know, I'll let Dallas free finally. So.
He's gonna white fang Dallas Goedert. Go on, boy. Go ahead. You're free. Dallas Goedert's like, I just want to party. I just want to party. Go ahead. Go get. Go on, get now. Come on. You can see that happening? I can see that happening. Dallas Goedert, of course, was asked about. I think he was the following interview. He might have even been off to the side while the whole thing was going on. And he's like, what the hell, Avonte? I thought we were boys. Here's Dallas Goedert on their breakup.
So you're headed for divorce with Avonte. He said if you guys sign contract extensions, you may not live together anymore. Is that?
Man, I thought the plan was we're gonna get like, you know, a lot of land, have 2 houses on there, some like ATVs so we can drive back and forth, you know. But no, it's been great living with him for the last 3.5 or whatever years, and you know, it's all great things must come to an end sometime. You gotta move on and continue your life eventually.
What was that not everybody's like thought as a kid? That eventually you're gonna grow up and all your friends, we're all gonna live in the same neighborhood. We're all gonna be living around each other. We're gonna have ATVs. Like I always thought like that would happen with me and my friends. I always thought that would happen like my cousins and I. Like you guys know how close I am with my family, my cousins, and all that stuff. Like we used to talk about that all the time. Like, oh well, when we get older. You know, well, Will is going to be, he's going to be a professional football player. Marc, he'll maybe eventually learn to read by the time he's 30, so we'll just carry him around. No big deal. All right, who else? Like, my other cousin was going to be a doctor. I was like, we're going to be a rich family. That hasn't really happened. But we're all going to live in one big house and have the time of our lives. Avonte Maddox and Dallas Goedert as professional football players. They get to have their fun, man. It's great. Good for them. Zach Berman wrote a great piece on in The Athletic some years ago where he wrote about them being roommates, and he wrote about them literally playing Fortnite with Nerf guns in their home. And I was going to go over there and play Fortnite with these guys, and they ended up having I think it was the year, I want to say it was the year after the Super Bowl. No, it would have been 2 years after the Super Bowl because things really weren't going right. And it was like not the time to do a goofy piece with, you know, anybody on the Eagles football team. And nobody was really willing to because they were having such a bad year. And I think that was the year Wentz rallied them at the end of the season, played great. But I was going to go over to their house and play Fortnite with Nerf guns. And I was going to get paid for it because that was my job. How great is that? But hey, I'm not going to wish that into existence, but I want to, hey, if news is going to happen, I'm going to tell you. All right. So that's a breakup none of us are rooting for. All right, folks. I just report the news. Sixers last night. All right. No, you already knew going into it. Oh, Jeff Skversky is going to join us just in a second here. Last night, the 76ers, they go into Detroit Motor City on a back-to-back. Joel Embiid plays. I don't think that was originally the plan. However, they really didn't have anybody. Tobias Harris already out. Danny Green already out. Furkan Korkmaz couldn't even play last night. So the Sixers go out there. They get the victory 109-98. Tyrese Maxey, 20 points. Seth Curry, 23 points. So that's nice to see. Embiid played 30 minutes and got 19 points. 6 of 15 shooting, I believe, from the floor. So a little bit better of a percentage than he had the previous night. Great win by the Sixers. B-Ball Paul. If you did not see B-Ball Paul's play last night in the third quarter, oh, you're missing out. B-Ball Paul gets dirty. Paul Reed gets on the ground under their own basket. Taps the basketball out. I think it went to Embiid or Drummond. I can't remember who it was. And I think they missed the layup. And the ball went right to Paul Reed, who got up off the ground in the meantime just to get up to the rim in time, slammed it home for 2. I mentioned my buddy Bennett yesterday. He texted me, and he goes, hey, I like this new Kate Smith announcer, but that was the perfect time for a garbage into gold. You needed a garbage into gold there. And I said, Bennett, by golly, you're right, my friend. Look, we often will look at an announcer that hasn't been there or that has been there for a long time and all of a sudden not there, and a lot of times think, how would they call it? The perfect example for totally different circumstances is Harry Callis. A lot of times, I still think to this day, if something great happens in a Phillies game, I still think to this day, man, how would Harry have called that? How would that have sounded? That would have been the perfect garbage into gold, B. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Flyers. I've said many times throughout my career that I hate the Penguins more than any other team in existence. Oh, what about the Cowboys? Everybody hates the Cowboys. Nothing unique about that. I hate the Penguins. And last night, they're not playing with Sidney Crosby, COVID. And Carter Hart's in net. He's looking great. It's a 2-2 game. They go into overtime. Well, it's a 2-2 game. Scott Lawton tied things up. Great shot, attacking the net, being really aggressive. By the way, I got some numbers for you on the Flyers and their aggressiveness this year versus last year. But he gets the game tying goal. They go into overtime. There's a little scrum in front of the net, ever so slightly, and you can't really see what happened to the puck. And the Penguins aren't even reacting like they just scored the game-winning goal in overtime. And there's a little scrum in front of the net. They go to review the shot, and it turns out, I'm telling you, man, if I had a hockey puck, do you have a hockey puck anywhere here? Veteran Stadium. Veteran Stadium will be the hockey puck. There, you getting that, folks? All right. The puck just barely in the corner by Carter Hart's left foot. Well, look at this. Here we go. Ready? Perfect dramatization. That much. Can you see that? That much. Across the goal line in its entirety. You getting that? Goal. Game over. Penguins win. Prop comic. Penguins win the game. By that. Flyers get a point. Thanks, Scott Lawton's goal. But they lose the game to the Pittsburgh Penguins, which is never an easy pill to swallow, especially with no Sidney Crosby. So Flyers lose 3-2 in overtime. Before we get Jeff Skversky in here to talk all things Philadelphia sports, let me tell you about my good friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Thank you, Matt. What a demo. Steven Singer Jewelers, ladies and gentlemen, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right in Philadelphia, right on Jewelers Row. You got to experience Steven Singer Jewelers, ladies and gentlemen. It's the only way. You have to. Every single big jewelry purchase, you want quality. You want to know that you're getting taken care of. You also want to know that you're not getting gouged on the price. That's why Steven Singer every single day has the perfect price. You don't got to go in there and be like, hey, Farzy sent me. You're not going to go in there and say, I got this coupon, or, hey, where that sale's going on, whatever it is. No, the perfect price is every single day for Steven Singer Jewelers. Now, you might say, what is the perfect price? The perfect price is the perfect price where Steven can obviously make money. He's selling the diamond, but he's not gouging you on the price. So when you walk in there, you don't feel like you have to negotiate and get him down to a certain number. No. Set at the perfect price every time. No hassle, no haggle. Walk in. What do you like? This is what we got. We'll explain it to you. We'll give you more ideas if you're looking for ideas. Then you got Ready for Love diamond engagement rings right there at the ready. It's not just a clever name, so it just takes even more stress away from you. It's the perfect thing. It's the perfect treatment with the perfect price every single time at the perfect jeweler, Steven Singer Jewelers. A real jewelry expert is standing by to walk you through all their beautiful diamonds. It is amazing. Go to IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. One place, one price, the perfect price every single time. And also, for the holidays, some other jewelers, they're not stocked up like Steven Singer. It's not going to run out of anything. Fully stocked for the holiday season. I know some people already were jumping into the Christmas season, the holiday season, way too early as far as I'm concerned. Steven's ready for you, though. If you're one of those people, Steven's all ready at Steven Singer Jewelers. The other quarter of 8th and Walnut, right on Jewelers Row, right in Philadelphia. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't go to a lot of games when you do anything early in the morning, as I have throughout the vast majority of my career. I have it's hard to go to a game press conference and then be like at a studio or be on the air at like 4 or 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. So it hasn't really served me best to go to games. But when I do go to games, a Sunday afternoon baseball game, right, a 1 o'clock Eagles game when I get the opportunity, something like that. Like, I always look forward to seeing this our guest today, Jeff Skversky. He's one of the nicest guys you could come across. One of my favorite people to catch up with whenever I see him in the press box. He's a Temple guy like myself. We get into a lot here. He's also one of the biggest Seinfeld fans you could ever talk to, and Curb Your Enthusiasm fans. So he's our guest on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. Here's my conversation with Jeff Skversky. Joining us right now on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, my good friend from 6ABC, The Action News, as some people like to refer to it, Jeff Skversky. What's up there, Jeff?
What's happening, Mark? How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's great to have you on. Do you hear that? Every once in a while, still people like they say the Acme. Do you still hear like The Action News every once in a while?
I don't hear the Acme, but I hear Action News, 6ABC. It depends what generation. I hear Channel 6. It just depends what generation is coming up to me. And there's a lot less people coming up to me lately because of the pandemic. So, but we're starting to get out and about a little bit more. But, you're just not around people as much. It's weird.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Here's the other thing. People can do this too, because I want people to check you out on your social media as well, on your Twitter account, because right now I know you guys are running a story about the old Penn State quarterback Christian Hackenberg. What's that guy been up to?
So he's coaching football at Winslow Township High School. It's a great story. He wants to help out the next generation of kids, and he kind of feels refreshed. I mean, he had a rough go, obviously, between the Jets and the Raiders and the Eagles and the Bengals. And, he was cut. So it was kind of a rough 5 years. And then this year, he's in his first year coaching, as you guessed it, the quarterbacks at Winslow Township High School during the playoffs this weekend. And Bill Belton, who also played, it was his teammate at Penn State. He's also on that coaching staff. So he reached out to Christian, who was living in the area. His wife is a South Jersey native, and they reached out to him. And so he's volunteering. He's not even accepting a dime. So he's volunteering, and he's been helping out the quarterbacks out there.
That's absolutely incredible. What was it like catching up with him? How's he doing?
He's doing well. He feels refreshed. And, you think of a guy like that, and you're going, man, he must be bitter or angry that things didn't work out, and he's not like that at all. And he just is like, look, I wish it obviously worked out better, and but it worked out the way it worked out. I'm not bitter. I'm moving on, and I have no anger toward the game of football. He loves it. He feels refreshed, and so it's a nice, cool little story, because you think about guys that didn't work out that were drafted high up, whether it's with the Eagles or the Jets or really any team you follow. And you just wonder, hey, what went on there? And, you expect guys to be upset or mad, but he has a really good head on his shoulders. And it's good to see him helping out because, he has a lot of football knowledge to pass along. I mean, he played at a high level at Penn State. He was with the Jets, had a cup of coffee in the NFL. And, look, it just didn't work out. And, for most guys, really, it doesn't work out. What's the average age of NFL players? 3 years? What is it?
Yeah, the average career about 3 years, 2.5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, and so a lot of times guys, their careers are over before they can even rent a car. So, it's he's falling back and he's doing some football coaching, and it's great to see.
Yeah, not for long, as the old saying goes. Not for long, NFL. Jeff, to talk about our football team right now in the city of Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Eagles, new head coach, new quarterback this whole season. How do you think the first 8 games of this year has gone so far? How do you think this new Sirianni-Hurts era has gone?
I think it's gone fine, and I think there's been this overreaction of what the expectations really should be. Look, coming off the Doug Peterson final year, they win 4 games. The expectations going into this season, a rookie head coach, really a rookie quarterback in Jalen Hurts. He still hasn't started 16 games. So he's really a rookie quarterback. So I go, what were your expectations for this football team? All of a sudden you get into it and everyone's getting mad. They lose to the Bucks and Brady and they lose to the Chiefs. And I go, what were your expectations for this football team? I mean, did you really expect this team to be a Super Bowl team? Of course not. Now, within that, there are some things that have been frustrating early on. Why are they not running the ball? Why is Miles Sanders not touching the football? And then, of course, this past week against the Lions, Sanders is hurt. He doesn't play. And they run the ball more than they've run the ball in 41 years. The most combined rushing yards, most combined rushing touchdowns in 41 years for the Eagles. Figure that one out. I don't know, but there have been some frustrations in the way Fletcher Cox is being used and things like that with Jonathan Gannon and the defensive coordinator. So there are some things that they have to get ironed out, but I just ask people that are upset or really, really angry about it. I go, what were your expectations? That's just my opinion and my view of it.
Gotcha. So here's one thing that I think you can cut and paste from last week's game against the Lions to this week's game against the Chargers in South Philly 405. The run game. The Lions are one of the worst teams in the NFL at run defense. The Chargers
they're one of the worst teams at everything.
Specifically, yeah, you're right. And the Chargers, though, are the worst team at run defense in the league. So it only makes sense to cut a little bit of that and paste it into this game, right?
Sure, and why not? And then, I spoke with Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson and some other players about it this week. Their mentality is, okay, now you kind of have to play the chess game because the Chargers are going to expect that, right? So then how do you counterbalance? And, to Nick Sirianni's point, the last few weeks, a lot of times they've had these runs that are called and then they become the RPOs, the run pass option, and Jalen Hurts doesn't run the ball. So, look, obviously they're working through it. They have had some things that they have to work out. Things haven't always gone, haven't been perfect. But again, they have a rookie team, a really young team, young receivers, young quarterback, young coaching staff. You have to give it time. And to judge it this early and to have some definitive answer on this is going to work or not going to work, I just think that is just really unfair.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask you a question now because this will take us out of our own comfort zones here. And I've had to ask myself this question a couple of times throughout this week. Let's say we're in Indianapolis. You're reporting on the Colts. I'm talking about the Colts right on this show. Would you want them to play Carson Wentz going forward? Or would you say, no, pack it in. I don't want to lose the first round pick. What would you do if you're the Indianapolis Colts and let's say that things really start to fall apart?
Well, who are you within the Indianapolis Colts? Are you Frank Reich? Or are you the general manager?
Ooh, okay.
Because Frank Reich, he may have less time. So he's going to want Carson Wentz. He's his guy. He has vouched for Carson Wentz. Wentz had his best career year when Frank Reich was the offensive coordinator. So I think they want Carson Wentz to play, and Carson wants to play. What happens down the road, I don't know. But, I don't think the Colts are as bad as their record indicates at this point. I think they're a better football team, but that is a great question. And I really think it depends on who you are within that organization, right?
Mm-hmm. And of course, at the time we tape this, the Colts and Jets are just about to play on Thursday Night Football. So I'll insert my reaction to that here. Yes.
Yeah.
Damn.
The Colts should win that. The Colts should win that game.
I would expect them to as well. Jeff, by the way, you seem a little bit more chipper than normal. Not that you're ever a crumb bum or anything like that, but I know that Seinfeld is back Seinfeld's on Netflix. Curb is back. I know you're a big fan of those two shows, so congrats on that, man.
Oh, yeah, it gives me something else to watch other than sports. I mean, because think about when you come home from work, you got to watch the Flyers, you got to watch the Sixers, and then before there's Phillies, and there's Eagles, and then World Series, and there's Thursday Night Football. There's this, and you're like, so to have something else to watch other than sports, I love sports, but
right. No, I understand. Yeah,
to have something else to watch is just tremendous. It's just tremendous.
I'm binging Seinfeld again because I was explaining to my audience the other day, like I was so young when it came. I was like 7 when it came out, like the first episode. But all through the 90s, I'm growing up and watching the show, and I just have a distorted memory of what it was. One of the things that surprises me this go around is I thought that they never really talked a lot about Jerry and Elaine dating. But in the first 2 seasons, that's a constant theme. Like the second season ends, and they have the friendship bet, or not the bet, the arrangement, if you will. And that season ends, and they're together. They're a couple. I thought they only hinted at that throughout the episodes.
You're just picking up on that they used to be an item?
Oh, no. I knew that,
okay.
But I always thought it was kind of mentioned in passing. In the early goings, it's like a thing where they can talk, like they cover that they can talk about other people with one another. It really highlighted how they did stay friends after the breakup.
it's great to talk about other people. It's great to talk about it's. You know what's amazing about the show? The writing is so tight, and it still holds up, which is amazing. And it's just amazing. And so years ago, I won a Seinfeld trivia contest with a couple other friends, and we donated the money that we won. We donated the money to the Gary Papa race, which raised money for prostate cancer. Because Gary, I used to do these, when Gary was still with us, I would sometimes do these Seinfeld trivia contests, and Gary would be in the group. And I remember one time Gary brought a friend of his along, and he's like, "Oh, this guy's money. He knows everything about Seinfeld." And then right before the contest that we were doing, he was going over, we're kind of brainstorming, just going over some tough questions. And the guy goes, Gary's friend, he goes, "Hey, what was the neighbor's name again?" And we looked at him like, "What? What?" We go, he has to be saying Newman. And I'm like, "Newman?" And he goes, "No, the guy with the tall hair." I'm like, "Kramer?" And I just went, "Oh my goodness." I'm like, "Gary, this is the guy you brought to win the Seinfeld." But we won that contest, and we donated the money to the prostate run that they used to have on the Parkway. So, but yeah, I mean, if I knew sports as well as I knew science, I'd be doing much better.
That's fantastic. I have to ask you about this. This Ben Simmons story, I find absolutely mind-blowing. From every detail about this story, even though we really don't know that many details because we haven't heard from Ben, we've only heard things leak out, or Daryl Morey's addressed the media, or Doc Rivers has addressed the media, but he's kept a tight lip. And then Joel Embiid says, "I don't care about that guy," and then he's telling everybody he's still our brother in front of the packed Wells Fargo Center. What are you making of this Ben Simmons fiasco, and how does it end?
It's so hard to answer, right? Because none of us are that educated on mental health. And so I think initially him wanting out, you're going, come on, man. I mean, you're 25 years old. You've made $200 million already. If you play your cards half right, you're going to make another 200, 250. You're going to make $500 million in your career. Just play basketball. And what is the problem? You're going to get criticized. Philadelphia's a tough town. You know that you're going to get criticized. I think he was being maybe a little too sensitive. On the other end, okay, so, and it appears he is. I mean, because you're going, how could a guy like this not play here? He's having some, a mental health, situation here that he has to get ironed out. None of us know what's going on in his head other than him, whether he's expressed it, whether he hasn't expressed it. Nobody knows what someone else is going through. So at the same time, I think initially all of us went, what is he doing? Are you kidding me? Just play basketball. A lot of us had a hard time understanding that what could possibly the Sixers have done wrong here. You're just going, okay, this is all on Ben. But when you start to think about it, okay, well, maybe he's having some mental health problems. We don't know enough about mental health to say and make that judgment. And maybe this is how he's reacting. His body is shutting down, and how he's handling it. Whether it's wrong, whether it's right, it is what it is. I think if you're the Sixers, you're going, what can we do to help Ben? I mean, I've talked to a lot of people in the Sixers organization. They want to help Ben as a person. And of course, they want to get Ben back on the basketball court because they are a better team with him. So I don't know how it ends. I really don't. Can Ben get past whatever issues he has with Doc Rivers, Joel Embiid, the way they're using him in the offense, what the expectations are, the pressure from the fans, the pressure from the team, things like that. What I would like to know is when he wanted to be traded, if the Sixers pulled off a trade back in September for Portland, let's say for Lillard,
right,
would Ben be playing right now for the Trailblazers? Look, we can't answer that question, but I do wonder that question. So the Sixers are trying to get him help, and they want to be clued in on it because, look, they're paying the guy right now. And so with the CBA language, they have to pay him, because he's seeking, mental health.
Right.
So I really don't know how it plays out, and I don't think anyone knows how it plays out. I don't think the Sixers and his teammates know how this plays out.
Before I let you go, are you feeling two things? But I have to ask your prediction. Are you feeling a win against the Chargers for the Eagles?
They're so unpredictable, right? I mean, I don't know. I think they're going to have a tough time with their quarterback. I think that defense is going to have a real tough time with Herbert. He had one of the best rookie seasons of all time last year, and he's off to a good start so far this year. What football team shows up? I don't know. You got to get Devontae Smith offensively going a little bit more. We'll see. I really don't know. I guess my instinct is no, but I don't know. This is not a team that I have a good feel for. I mean, do you have a good feel for this team?
No, I don't. I don't at all.
And I don't think the Eagles do. I mean, how many times have the Eagles talked about we don't really know what our identity is right now, which is a really hard thing to comprehend. Hey, how does a football team not know their identity? But they're still feeling it out, and I just don't know.
I got two things for you, both more of a personal thing. Joe Buck is one of the latest guests on the podcast Smartless, if you ever listen to that. It's a great podcast with Will Arnett, Sean Hayes, and Jason Bateman.
My wife loves it.
Okay. She's
always telling me about it, and I'm like, I only have, how much time do you have in the car? By the time you get from like home to work or back, you have to make a phone call. You listen to music for a second. The next thing you know, like you're home or at work. I mean, but no, there's like too much. There's almost too much to listen to. Plus, of course, I have to listen to your show, and so I'm out of time.
Right.
Like my dog.
I always appreciate you texting me after every show, just basically giving me your notes and just telling me what you would have done different. Things you love, things you didn't. I always enjoy that.
I grade your show. What did we learn about the Marc Farzetta show? So I'm sorry. So I cut you off. You're the Joe Buck.
I'm highly recommending it to you because is it true? Joe Buck, did he critique a tape of yours? How did that work?
Yeah. So so I'm working in Atlantic City. This is my first job in TV. And I guess he used to vacation down there. And this is going back like 20 years ago. So he used to vacation down there. And he was working out at a gym, and like my producer's like brother was a trainer, and went up to him. And next thing I know, I get a call from like Joe Buck, and I'm like, what, who, what? And you're like, what, who's this? And this is like right as he start ready to basically pop. He's doing the World Series on Fox, and he's just about to, really, really step into who he is today.
Become Joe Buck, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and so so he gave me some really nice advice, and a few years later, I ended up working in St. Louis, and he was just kind of trailing off on doing Cardinals games. He was only doing at that point 7 or 8 Cardinals games on TV at that point, because he was doing all national stuff. So I would see him around and here and there. I'm not really in touch with him. I mean, I haven't been in touch with him in years, so I don't know if he would remember any of this. But yeah, so he was always very, very nice to me. And I know Joe gets a bad rap in Philly, and I'm always like, why? Like, how hard it is to call a game and not stumble or make a mistake night after night, whether it's football, whatever it is, for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
How hard that is to be, perfect. And everyone just thinks he hates their team. I'm like, what do you want him, like, put yourself in that position. What do you want him to sound like? Mm-hmm. So I'm a big Joe Buck fan.
As am I.
Yeah, a big Joe Buck fan. And by the way, like all these announcers, it's hard. It's a hard job. I mean, to talk perfectly for 3 hours, like who can do that?
Yeah. I barely get through the first 10 minutes of this show without
10 seconds. I can't
10
seconds stumbling and muttering and.
On that note, I want to close with this. To all the young kids that might be watching this, just like Joe Buck and you and all that stuff, you're at Temple Update. You and I are both Temple alums. Go Owls, obviously. We the T. What advice would you give somebody that wants to get into broadcasting? What should they do as soon as humanly possible? What advice would you give them?
Become a doctor. Become a doctor. I don't know. The business has changed so much. I mean, it's just, if this is not what you want to do more than anything else, and to, go through the ups and the downs and moving to the middle of nowhere. I moved to the middle of nowhere, sent tapes to, I was offered a job ready to go to Fargo, North Dakota, right out of school. If you're not willing to do that for no money, for a minimum wage, and really just put those days in, I mean, it's, because, I grew up here. So people, when I came back and I got a job at Channel 6, 2009, people are just like, oh, he's on Channel 6. Oh, that must have been easy. But, there was like a 10-year period where I'm just going, oh my goodness, this is brutal. And then you get the job and you have to also, okay, I have to prove that like I'm worthy of it. Right. And so, there's 10,000 people that are just, want to see me trip up so they can take it. So, obviously just having that patience and that determination, I think you have to have a drive and determination like none other and go, this is the only thing I want to do. I have to do it. And, there's a lot of luck involved, right time, right place. And, I mean, it's hard. It's hard. It's not hard talking about sports, but it's hard to maintain and build a career out of it. And think about it. I mean, how many sportscasters are there, for example, in Philadelphia? There's way more Eagles players than sportscasters. I mean, when you think about how rare being a football player is, I mean, when you think about how rare that is, it's a hard job. So you got to think about and do the math and go, what am I willing to do to go through and just kind of just trek through the mud for years and years and years, and maybe forever. You don't know. No one has a crystal ball on how it's going to work out. So I would say patience and determination.
I just had a kid email me or hit me up, I think on Instagram, slid into my DMs and said, do you not make, I'm thinking about going into broadcasting. He's a college kid. Do you really not make a lot of money? And I was like, yeah, you make no money. Like, did somebody tell you it wasn't a lot of money? It's no money. Like whoever lied to you and told you it was a little money, it's barely even that.
You gotta love it. It has to be. And look, that should be really anything you do, right? You do it out of love. Hey, I would do it for free. Now, obviously you want to make money and you want to make a lot of money, but the essence, the core of it has to be heart and drive and love. And that's really with anything. If you love it, it doesn't become work. It's something that you can kind of go through, those painful, really early years. So that would really be my thing. Like you got to love it, right? I mean, more than, really anything else.
Certainly. I'll write him back and tell him Jeff Skversky said be a doctor. I think that'll go over better. Jeff, great catching up with you, brother. Thanks so much for doing the show. Now you gave me an assignment. I'm going to do it, and we'll take it off the air. But I will. I'm going to watch the Curb, and I'm going to get back to you with what I would change. That was the assignment about the first episode.
From the first episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, the new season. So happy it's back. What would you change?
All right.
I'll even push you into a little more. How would you have ended the episode?
Ooh.
How would you have ended the episode?
Okay.
Okay. Every person I have asked this has all come back with the same answer.
Okay.
And I think I know what your answer is going to be.
All right. Assignment. I will fulfill the assignment in the not too distant future, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, check him out again. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter, of course. Follow all his stuff from 6ABC, 6abc.com, his Twitter account, everything. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Mr. Jeff Skversky. Thank you so much, Jeff. Appreciate you, brother.
Marc, great seeing you. Talk to you soon.
Great seeing you too, man. The great Jeff Skversky joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. Always great catching up with Jeff. And yes, ginormous Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm fan. So if you ever see him, probably the best to drop a Seinfeld reference and he'll pick up on it like that. Let me tell you about Rothman Orthopaedics, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, he's right. I know the overall feel for the Eagles is that they're bad, but it's like in terms of trying to predict this team, it's tough because we see them do good things in games. And then we ask ourselves, is Jonathan Gannon or Nick Sirianni going to run away from what they're doing well right now? Like, it's like abandoned ship if things start to not go well, or things are going well and then they stop, or things are going terrible in the early goings of games like the Panthers game, and then they're able to actually push through and actually win that game. One thing that I always expect from the Eagles, there's one expectation I have. Jalen Hurts is going to ball out in the fourth quarter. That's about it. That's the only thing I can look at with Jalen. They're down a lot. It's a close game. It doesn't matter. They're up a lot, whatever. Jalen Hurts is going to look like a damn star in the fourth quarter. That's all I got. And hopefully that happens if they are down going into this fourth quarter. Or maybe they're tied and going into the fourth quarter, then Jalen Hurts balls out. Let me tell you about Rothman Orthopaedics, ladies and gentlemen. These guys are great. I told you earlier about my shoulder. Usually it's this shoulder. This is my bum shoulder. My right shoulder that I separated playing football with some friends in college. And this is the shoulder I hurt. I'm swinging the hammer with this arm, though. And now this shoulder hurts. Okay. I think I need to make an appointment with my good friends at Rothman Orthopaedics, ladies and gentlemen, because when you have an orthopedic issue, you need a physician who eats, sleeps, and breathes orthopedics. You need an exceptionally specialized Rothman Orthopaedics physician. They not only specialize in orthopedics, but each of their physicians only focuses in on one area of the body, which means you can have the confidence to get past the pain and be what you were. Visit them in one of their 30-plus locations in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, including 4 orthopedic-only urgent cares. Learn more at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. How about BetQL? You want to get advantage over your sportsbook? If you want to get that edge, make sure you download the BetQL app. It's the only app you'll need to make the smart bets. Their best bets computer model scans over 350,000 unique bets per year to give you the best bet recommendation for every game across all major sports, and they give you the reasoning behind why you should place that bet. Their model covers everything from point spreads, over-unders, and player props. It's great. You don't want to use their model and prefer to do your own research? Use BetQL because they have all the necessary tools for your betting research needs. Everything from sharp data, line movement, team summaries, lineup changes, injuries, breaking news, and so much more. Make sure you take advantage of all BetQL has to offer. Use the App Store or Google Play Store now to download the BetQL app. How about our friends at Steak and Maine, steakandmaine.com. For more information in the heart of Northeast Maryland, whether you like to dine in their more upscale steakhouse, their casual bar and patio, you'll enjoy the highest quality of prime meats, fresh seafood, and freshly prepared sushi. All that. And they also have their own wine list, Cavada Cellars Wines. Ladies and gentlemen, I always recommend any steak you get there. I always say the tomahawk steak, 2-pound tomahawk steak, any steak. Pinot Noir from Cavada Cellars Wines. Delicious. All right, this place is fantastic. If you like, you got a big party, you got the party table in the back. You can have it all yourselves. It's a great time, so make sure you enjoy yourself at Steak and Maine. SteakandMaine.com for more information. Voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Travel Channel and the Food Channel. Check it out for yourself, SteakandMaine.com. How about our friends at WinView? WinView is the only gaming app where fans can take on other fans and end the debate once and for all. Who's the biggest sports fan? If you have friends or family who think they know everything about sports, challenge them to a WinView contest. See if they walk the walk as well as they talk the talk. The monotony of family dinners, get-togethers, holidays, a lot of that right there. Spice things up a bit. A little WinView app. Challenge them to a WinView challenge. Have yourself a good time. If you're tracking the games on Sundays, if you're tracking some of the basketball games, whatever it might be, WinView is the contest for you. It's not a sports book. It's not daily fantasy. It's a social gaming app where you can win real money prizes by making the predictions on the games you love. So download the WinView app right now. Also, ladies and gentlemen, PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience each and every day. Follow PHLSportsNation.com. Time for our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine. It's SteakandMaine.com. Good morning, April. Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, Brian. Good morning, April again. Demo is no joke. It's great stress relief. It is. Although I will say my house is 100 years old. And if you remember, there was an argument my wife and I had about whether or not we were going to keep the bureau in what is now the master bedroom. The big, like, built into the wall bureau from 100 years ago when the house was built. And I look at it as a piece of history. And I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm getting rid of that bureau. My wife's like, we're getting rid of it. I'm like, we're not. No. And I give a lot of credit to my old friend there, my old partner, my still friend, Bob Cooney, who said, you got to keep it. That's part of history. And then I put it out on social media, and I didn't even put it out on social media now I think about it. People were hitting me up on social media saying, you can't get rid of that. That's a piece of history. I said, you're damn right. So we kept it. We had it refinished. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. But now, 2 kids, we're going to move upstairs to our 3rd floor, and it needs a little remodeling. There's an archway in the middle of that wall, and it takes up about 1.5 feet of space. There's 2 closets on each end with there's another walk-in closet in that room. We don't need that much closet space. So I'm breaking it down. We bought a Sawzall. Those things are amazing. smacking the drywall with the hammer. So I'm taking it apart as opposed to just demoing, because I want to see what's salvageable from 100 years ago. So there's a couple of pillars in there that I can still use for something else. Maybe use them as shelves around my house somewhere. I like this stuff. So anyway, I wish it was just me and a sledgehammer, man, but it's literally Sawzall taking things apart, looking what's load bearing, what's not load bearing. Is anything load bearing? Nothing. Okay, that kind of thing. But it is great. It's I after using my idiot mouth as often as I do, it's great to work with my hands. So you're right there, April. Good morning, Farzetta Farzetta and friends. John, what's happening? JD, what's happening? JD, Sean, nice to see you. Dan, good morning, people. Sixers are the number 1 seed. So my morning rush, but yes, they are. But nice to continue to apply pressure. Be nice if they can continue to apply pressure, especially since Herbert got a hurt hand. Try to make him get the ball out quick. All these decision making. Pop, pop, pop. I'm with you, Dan. Mike, the only thing is, as I said earlier, getting the ball out quick, to me, with this defense, means Derek Carr 2.0. And that's what I'm afraid of going into this game. And it's going to look a lot like the Raiders game from earlier in the season. Good morning, Mike. Let's see. Nick, what's popping? Oh, Nick, love Farzy Fridays. I like the ring to that. That sounds nice. Mike, let's see. The Sixers are a hot number 1 seed. People celebrating the number 1 seed. Actually had to turn on the heat. So here's a little insider tip for you guys, a little inside thing. When we play the Skversky interview, I had to go outside real quick, and yeah, winter happened fast. Winter happened. It came early this year. It definitely is real fast, because it was 2 weeks ago. It was like 90 degrees. Every year it sneaks up on us. JD, Buddy Ryan walking out today. That would JD, Buddy Ryan walking out today. That would have been more nuts. That would have been. Rest in peace, buddy. April, Pete Davidson must have a giant personality. He gets passed around like Marc's blonde. Oh, April, come on. I guess the ladies find Pete Davidson charming. I don't know. April also wants to go on ATV rides with her friends. Sounds awesome. Does sound awesome. Dan is sick of Ben Simmons, and I am too. We all are. I'll say it. I'm thrilled that the Sixers are number 1 seed. And if you would have asked me before the season, are they going to be the number 1 seed? I would have said absolutely not. At this point, this early in the season, I would have said absolutely not. They're still going to miss Ben Simmons. And they haven't missed him nearly as much as I thought they would. Regular season, I think they need Ben Simmons. Or they can get by without Ben Simmons. Postseason, they need Ben Simmons, or they need talent in exchange for Ben Simmons in a trade. Just as they are right now is not good enough to even make it to maybe even the Eastern Conference semifinals again. But if Tyrese Maxey plays well, as he has, if Furkan Korkmaz plays well, as he has, if Tobias Harris comes back and plays well, then maybe you'll have a shot. You never know how it's really going to shake out in the playoffs. But as the things are set right now, I am absolutely amazed that no Tobias Harris, no Danny Green, even no Furkan Korkmaz last night. Isaiah Joe, who's been coming off the bench for you this year, he's out with COVID protocol now too. And Joel Embiid is not 100%. No one can convince me otherwise. There's no way he looks 100%. To me, I am very pleasantly surprised. If you would have told me before the season, all this would go wrong, plus no Ben Simmons, I'd say you're crazy if you think they're the number 1 seed. And here's what you got to do. This is what I was going to say in my morning rush segment. I know we're not the biggest fans, a lot of us, of Doc Rivers and his coaching ability. He's done a hell of a job this year. Hell of a job this year so far. Now, the biggest game that mattered to this point was the Nets and the Hawks. And they went 1-1 in those 2 games. So we'll see how the rest of this season goes. No, who said the buttons? Mike, Farzy has no interest in buttons in this interview. Dan Schwartz, no mental health problems, just mental readiness problems. Yeah, I'm with you there, Dano. Ben Simmons can Joe Buck himself. Very nice, Daniel. Ray, when they get everybody back, he should get the surgery and miss a month. That's speaking about Joel Embiid, and be back for the second half of the season. Quite possible. Mike's saying if Embiid has surgery, hope the team can keep this high level of basketball. All right, here's the one cog in the wheel they can't miss, Joel Embiid. That's what I'll say about that. Mike Johnson and Dan are going back and forth talking about Howie Roseman. I know, dude. I can't stand when Howie gets praised, even when he does something right. Howie has screwed up this team so badly. So I was thinking about this yesterday, and it got the wheels turning when we talked to John Dorenbos. John Dorenbos came out and said he's the only long snapper to be traded for a draft pick. He got traded for a 7th-round pick. And then I'm watching the game last night, and the what's his name, Mike White gets hurt. Johnson comes in. Joe Flacco inactive for the game. Jets and Colts. Colts won. Carson Wentz played great. Highest quarterback rating of the season. I think 134 was his quarterback rating, or passer rating, excuse me. But Joe Flacco, the Eagles got a pick for. And he's inactive in his first 2 weeks with the Jets now? Even in this game, already being down Zach Wilson. Howie, you magician, you. There you go. That's our social media check-in brought to you by StakeAndMain.com. Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. That was it. Doc Rivers. How I am amazed. 7-2 right now, number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference with all that they've missed. Got to tip your cap to Doc Rivers. Eagles official prediction, ladies and gentlemen. I want to so bad say that the Eagles are going to win this game on Sunday at home. And I just can't. They're not as good as they were against the Lions because it was the Lions. They're not going to look that good again. There's a chance that they look good again, and I'm rooting for it, but I'm not betting on it. Now, it's a skinny -1.5. The Chargers are favored out on the road against the Eagles. So even Vegas is saying, we don't really know either. But Chargers getting 1.5, or excuse me, Eagles getting 1.5 at home. It's going to be a close one. I'm going to say that the Eagles are going to lose this game by a score of 27-23. It goes to the Chargers. And then we all come back down to earth and reset our new roots for the following week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. Make sure you follow the show on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe on YouTube and all that fun stuff. Jim Hyden produced the program, did a phenomenal job. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. My name is Marc Farzetta from the Steven Sager Studios. Have a great rest of your, have a great weekend, everybody. Be back to you guys on Monday. Hopefully I'm dead wrong, and it's after an Eagles victory. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take it easy.